In the past few weeks, a 7-part documentary has been circulating on TikTok, which has become the topic of the moment. It exposes the dangerous and unhealthy obsession of Hailey Baldwin towards Justin Bieber and his relationship with Selena Gomez, of which she was a fan. Basically, this documentary comes from a YouTube video uploaded by the channel Internet Odie, but it's a video from 6 months ago. It was published on August 26, 2024. However, recently, all the protagonists of this story have been in the spotlight. Selena Gomez just released an amazing new album, by the way, called I Said I Love You First, with her fiancé and music producer Benny Blanco. Justin Bieber has also been in a lot of controversy lately due to his erratic behavior and because he doesn't appear to be doing well, physically or mentally, despite having just become a father about 6 months ago. Everyone expected that this change in his life would help him, but apparently it hasn't. He also unfollowed Hailey Bieber on Instagram, but the next day claimed he had been hacked and followed her again. Truly strange events that reignited this topic in the massive way it did. And I say reignited because the documentary doesn't address anything new. Those of us who have been following this story for years were already aware of practically everything. In fact, I have a video from 2 years ago that talks precisely about this, but I believe there are topics that never die, ones that marked pop culture so deeply. And now, with new generations becoming aware of it, people who didn't know about it and want to know more, the question still remains. Was Hailey Baldwin such a toxic and obsessive fan that she managed to entangle her idol with all sorts of strategies? In this video, we're going to review everything, up until the idol married her and they remained together. I don't know why, but telling you this reminds me of that scene from The Little Mermaid, where Ursula turns into that woman who supposedly sings beautifully and enchants the prince. That's more or less what this story seems like. But as I said, in that video from 2 years ago, and I'll repeat today, I believe everyone holds some responsibility for what happened, and many factors were at play. And now, in 2025, what matters most is that everyone has moved on with their lives. Justin and Hailey have now been married for nearly 7 years, even more than the time Selena and Justin dated. I don't think it's a perfect marriage at all, but up until now, they're still together because that's what they've decided. Plus, they already have a child, and on Selena's side, I believe the wedding is coming soon. Still, I think it's worth reviewing the content of that documentary because, as I said, it's super intense. Watching it made me take notes, and I discovered it contains 20 very serious and specific accusations about Hailey Bieber's behavior since she was 13 years old. So, in this video, we're going to review them one by one, comparing what all the sides say, Selena's fans, Hailey's fans, Justin's fans, and what the actual evidence says. We'll find out which ones are true, which ones are exaggerated, or which ones are just plain false. I gave each one a point. So the more points Hailey accumulates from 1 to 20, the higher her level of obsession. Stay until the end to see the result. And take notes too, because there were some I didn't even know what to make of. So it's possible there may be 1 or 2 that we won't 100% agree on, and that's okay. The documentary presents this moment from 2009 when Hailey and Justin meet for the first time backstage at the Today Show, introduced by her father, actor Stephen Baldwin. I don't know if she was super nervous or just very shy, but she comes off as a bit indifferent toward him. And Justin, yes, he looks younger, but not because of her, rather because of her dad. That's something the documentary forgets to mention. Justin says something like, "Oh, I met you at the Detroit airport." And the father responds like, "Maybe it was me, maybe not." And he even greets someone else while talking to Justin, which makes it seem casual. Honestly, I don't think the dad was thinking about marriage at that point. Something that stands out to me is how cheerful Justin Bieber used to be. Wow, how people can change due to what they go through. At that moment when they met, Justin had not yet reached the massive fame he would later achieve. He was just the trendiest guy of the moment with hits like One Less Lonely Girl and One Time, but he still had a lot to prove. Hailey later denies being a fan of Justin at the time. Belieber? No, to be honest, it's the truth. He was so new that I really didn't know a lot about him yet. If that happened to me, I'd feel super proud and would totally admit that I married my idol, like Jessica Biel, Justin Timberlake's wife. She admits she was a huge fan of Justin and that marrying him was a dream come true. But Hailey, maybe to downplay the story of her being a super intense fan, or maybe she truly didn't know who he was back then, denies it. What is true and documented, because Hailey herself has shared it, is that during that encounter, Justin's mom became friends with her dad, and he invited them bowling and to dinner at his house. There are pictures of them bowling together, so they definitely spent time together. Not sure if it was all in one day or over time, but the fact that both families were Christian brought them closer, and that's something Justin himself also says on this program with Demi Lovato, joking that everything was an arranged marriage from the start. Mom, similar and the same, you good friends. It was like marriage. There's also a video of Hailey where she says that the first time Justin invited her out, he asked her parents for permission and they said no. You're not going out with him. At the time, Justin had a very bad reputation. She had to lie, saying she went out with her sister. But really, she went out with Justin secretly, still. We can't deny that her dad introduced them, invited them over, and religion and all that. So I'd give this half a point. We're not completely sure of anything. The documentary mentions this concert where Hailey is seen watching Justin in New York like a completely obsessed fan. But it forgets to mention that this concert was the Toyota concert series, the same one where Hailey's dad introduced her to Justin at the Today Show. The Today Show had this concert series, and it was the same event, not a separate one. So obviously, if Hailey greeted him backstage, she was also going to watch him perform. But also it mentions the premiere of the documentary Justin Bieber, Never Say Never, which was released on February 8th, 2011, 2 years after the first time they met, which Hailey and her dad also attended. There are photos of them on the red carpet, and while Justin was giving some interviews, Hailey pretended to be distracted, watching him from a distance. By this point, Justin was already dating Selena Gomez. They hadn't made their relationship public yet. They did that on February 27th, about 2 weeks later. But photos of them kissing on New Year's Eve 2011 had already leaked. So from the very beginning, from the moment Justin was starting his relationship with Selena Gomez, Hailey was also there during the most important moment of Justin's career up to that year. The question is whether it was because she wanted to be there and close to him, or because, like many other red carpets, she was also invited. Hailey grew up in Hollywood, surrounded by red carpets, so it was perfectly natural for her to attend this kind of event. It was also normal for her to go. So this point I will also give half. This photo is very famous for obvious reasons. It would confirm the obsession Hailey always had with Justin and how she was a fan of his relationship with Selena, which, as we know, ended in a very toxic way. But Hailey's fans say that's not the reason she took that photo, but because of the person below them, which is Cody Simpson, another singer from that time, and similar to Justin Bieber. In fact, he was being promoted by his label as the Australian Justin Bieber, and he invited Hailey Bieber to play his love interest in the music video for the song On My Mind in June 2011. That was the same month the movie Monte Carlo by Selena Gomez premiered, which is the event where the photo of Hailey was taken. In fact, the media even asked her questions there, but not about Justin or Selena, only about Cody Simpson. There were rumors they might be dating because they were seen hanging out very closely, but Cody started a relationship with Kylie Jenner, and things didn't go any further with Hailey. But there was definitely something going on between them, or at least they were very, very close friends. And something very curious about Hailey is that many of the guys she dated before marrying Justin were considered his lookalikes, because besides Cody Simpson, she also went out with Austin Mahone, who sang just like Justin, and everyone assumed he was Justin's copy. She also dated a guy named Cameron Dallas, who was also often compared to Justin, had a lot of teenage girl fans, and of course, she also dated Shawn Mendes, who was one of the artists meant to rival Justin, and who was heavily compared to him. At the time, maybe this kind of guy is Hailey's type, which is why she liked them. Or maybe it was a strategy to make Justin jealous, or to replace him. But to be fair, Hailey also dated 2 other men who had nothing to do with Justin, like basketball player Jordan Clarkson and singer Drake. But back to the photo and whether she was a fan of their relationship or not, regardless of why she was at that red carpet event where Selena Gomez was, and why she posed with that magazine. Yes, she was a fan of their relationship. She has several tweets about it, like this one that says, "I don't care what people say, Yelena is the definition of teenage love. That is, their relationship is the perfect couple. Team Jelena. She also tweeted directly to Selena, saying, "She's super pretty," and other tweets where she greeted her, trying to get her attention. So, definitely, this counts as a point. 4. Hailey outside Justin's hotel trying to get close to him. The documentary shows this clip where Justin is greeting a bunch of fans, and guess who shows up in the crowd? Yep, Hailey. And it's not very clear why she's there because she doesn't greet Justin, doesn't ask for an autograph or a hug, nothing. But there she is, chewing gum and watching the whole situation. Hailey's fans defend this point by saying that since her dad is a famous actor, he was probably staying at the same hotel as Justin Bieber just by coincidence, and Hailey was with her dad, which is why they ran into each other, but that she wasn't following him around. However, it must be said that the documentary presents this as something much more sinister than it actually was. They claim that the day Hailey was supposedly following Justin was the same day Justin went on a romantic date with Selena Gomez to the movies and for sushi. They say this because Justin appears in paparazzi photos wearing the same jacket. But it wasn't the same day, or even the same city. The video where Hailey appears was recorded on February 13th, 2012, and Justin and Selena's date was on February 25th, a little later, in Los Angeles. I think Justin just really liked that jacket. Still, even if it wasn't the same day and Hailey wasn't following him while he was out with Selena for sushi, I'm still going to give this point because it's suspicious that she was there, acting like a superfan. And while it's not deliberate stalking, she was there knowing he had a girlfriend. 5. Hailey messages Justin's fans to get close to him. In 2019, a girl named Dana uploaded a video where she says she was the president of a Justin Bieber fan club in New York, and that Hailey used to send her messages to find out which hotels Justin would be staying at so she could go see him. We're talking about 2012, when Hailey was around 15 or 16 years old. And the fan didn't just show screenshots, she shared a screen recording of the conversation she had with Hailey. I mention this because it's much harder to fake a screen recording than just a few screenshots, so that gives a lot of credibility to the fan's story. The conversation didn't start by talking about Justin Bieber, but about Harry Styles. Hailey herself says she has a crush on Harry Styles, and in 2012 she tweeted that Taylor Swift and Harry Styles were the worst couple of 2012. It's official. Dana replies, inviting her to the hotel where One Direction would be staying. She asked if Hailey was going to go, and Hailey said yes, that she was planning to go. But 3 days later, she showed a message where Hailey asked when Justin Bieber's concert tour would begin. They also talked about Austin Mahone, who is the other guy Hailey also dated. Between the last message they exchanged and where the girl replied with the name of a hotel, as you can see, there is a 1-year gap. There is no explicit message where Hailey is asking Dana in which hotel Justin Bieber is staying, and that is what Hailey's defenders are using to claim that Dana is lying. What Dana says is that Hailey told her that she and Kylie Jenner wanted to know which hotel Justin would be staying at to go see him, but that she immediately deleted the message. So, technically there is no evidence, but Hailey's response is something like, "Oh, what a random hotel," which could suggest that she did ask. And afterward, she asks who manages the Bieber Team New York fan account, because it seems like she had intentions to message that person managing the account. If we observe this pattern, Dana also shows tweets that Hailey made where she alluded to Justin Bieber's height and how she hoped he would grow taller, because at that time, they were the same height. She also says she organized the video where fans tried to recreate the Call Me Maybe video, where Selena and Justin Bieber appear. Hailey recorded that clip in her house and sent it by mail because she wanted to be part of that movement too. And that is also evidence. So for me, this definitely is another point. 6. She became friends with the Jenners to get closer to Justin. The documentary mentions that in 2014, as a strategy to build her network and catch Justin, Hailey became friends with both Kendall and Kylie. And it's true, they were already friends with Justin because long before, Justin had met Kim Kardashian at the White House, and she wanted one of her younger sisters to date him. But what the documentary forgets to mention is that Hailey had already been friends with them since 2012. In fact, in this video between Kendall and Hailey, they say they met at the premiere of The Hunger Games, which came out in 2012, and from there, they became super close. So it's not true that it started in 2014. In this podcast, Hailey's father says that the way Justin approached his daughter was because in 2013, as Hailey was friends with Kylie, and Kylie, in turn, was dating Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son. who was promoting his movie After Earth, Hailey asked for permission to go to the premiere and stay at the hotel to accompany her friend Kylie. Since Jaden is very good friends with Justin, Justin also went to the premiere, and that's where he saw Hailey, but no longer as a little girl like years before. Now he saw that she had changed. Even her father insinuates that his daughter had become very pretty, and that's why Justin started showing interest in her. She had been to red carpets before Justin ever had a career when she was a kid. So, years later, she starts hanging out with some other friends. Kylie Jenner, the Jenner gals, some other younger people. She starts hanging out with Jaden Smith. When she's 14, 15, my daughter becomes a model. She has her friends. My daughter says, Jaden Smith is in the movie and he's dating Kylie. And Kylie's my friend. We're all going to stay at the hotel. Can I stay overnight with Kylie? I go, yeah, sure, go ahead. Well, apparently Justin showed up to that hotel and came in and said hi to some friends. Like, he knew Kai, but he didn't know Hailey, so he hadn't seen Hailey in quite a while. But what is certain is that from this friendship with the Jenners, Hailey got close to Justin. Or he got close to her, however you want to see it, because they started posting photos together on social media and also having dinner together. There are even paparazzi photos that began to suggest they were more than friends. He was also at Hailey's 18th birthday on November the 22nd, 2014. But what must be said is that the three girls apparently all wanted Justin, not just Hailey. There was a lot of speculation that Kendall and Justin were a couple because they would go to dinner together or grab a coffee. For example, this photo is from Paris, where the two of them are at a cafe. According to this article from April 2014, Kylie sent intimate photos to Justin's phone that Selena saw, and that's why they broke up at that moment. The relationship between Justin and Selena was stable until 2012. From there until 2018, they kept breaking up and getting back together. I imagine it must have been very painful for Selena, especially since Kendall and Kylie were supposedly her friends at one point, and they were doing this with Hailey and themselves trying to get with her boyfriend. But let's remember that men are the ones responsible for being unfaithful to their girlfriends, and Justin at that time gave off the typical high school boy vibe, the one who wants them all. He flirted with everyone, enjoyed everyone's attention, and wasn't stable with anyone. For example, on August 10, 2014, he posted a photo wishing Kylie Jenner a happy birthday when she had already sent him those photos and supposedly Selena had found out. But he was still seeing Selena. So basically, he was seeing all of them, and not just them. During that period between 2014 and 2015, it was also reported that he went out with Chantel Jeffries, Adriana Lima, and even Kourtney Kardashian, the oldest Jenner sister. So on this topic of whether Hailey got close to the Jenners to be with Justin, for me, this is half a point. Because although it wasn't only for that reason, and they met for other reasons, the friendship with them definitely opened the door to her relationship with him later on. 7. The Jenners took Selena to Dubai so Hailey could be alone with Justin. Even though all of them wanted to be with Justin, and he flirted with everyone started leaning more toward Hailey because, of all the girls, Hailey was the most religious. She was raised in a Christian environment because her father took refuge in God when he overcame his addictions, and that's how he raised his children. Justin, in fact, was going through something very similar between 2013 and 2015. It was the darkest stage of Justin's life, where he got into trouble with the authorities, had depression, substance abuse, all of that. He was really trying to recover, so Hailey invited him to church. And yes, there are photos of them together since 2014 at religious events. Also, there's this one, where although Hailey doesn't appear, it has been reported that she was there. They're with him. But this approach toward Hailey and religion didn't mean that Justin had completely forgotten about his relationship with Selena. It was like they were still trying. Unfortunately, their relationship had already become very toxic. For example, in September 2014, they decided to go on vacation, but this video leaked where they didn't look happy at all. At the airport, Selena gets out of the van, walks in, and throws her bag down, clearly very upset. She waits there for a long while. I'll sum it up here, but it was about 5 minutes, I think. And finally, Justin gets out of the van, walks into the airport, ignores Selena, and she walks behind him. So, unfortunately, they had problems. And Justin was exploring other options. He posted photos with Hailey on social media, and in December, they spent a lot of time together. On December 27th, she gave him a Christmas gift, and the next day, on the 28th, they were seen together again. The Dubai event was very close, since it was to celebrate New Year's Eve to begin 2015. It was organized by the designer brand Balmain, and a ton of celebrities were invited with all expenses paid. Selena even went with her best friend Raquel. There are many photos where she looks super happy, but it's also true that Justin and Hailey spent New Year's together. This article confirms it. It's from January 3rd, 2015, and Hailey is wearing a little New Year's Eve party hat. But Selena also wasn't thinking that much about Justin at that moment, because she was starting a new relationship with the music producer and DJ Zed. So, although Kendall Jenner was also there, honestly, this seems more like an internet theory than an actual strategy to separate Selena from Justin. Later on, in 2016, Justin told GQ magazine that maybe Hailey would be the woman he would marry, making it clear that he already saw serious intentions with her. So, I don't think this Dubai trip changes much, and for me, it doesn't get a point. 8. Hailey claiming her territory. This one's short. In 2015, Justin collaborated with the singer Halsey for the song The Feeling, and rumors started that maybe they had something going on. It's very common for paparazzi to create relationships when singers collaborate or things like that, but the documentary says that Hailey got jealous of Halsey and recorded herself asking her driver to change the station when a Halsey song came on. I don't see the need to record yourself asking your driver to change the song of a singer you dislike or are jealous of. And Halsey herself responded by copying Hailey, kind of mocking her. Station. What Hailey's fans argue is that this wasn't about jealousy or claiming territory, since their collaboration was in 2015, and they say this video, which I couldn't verify the date, sorry, but I imagine it's from 2016 and has nothing to do with Justin. So, since I'm not sure, but still, something's going on there, I give it half a point. 9. Tweets against Selena. We're in 2015-2016, when Justin couldn't decide on anyone. He gave Hailey hope, but went back to Selena, broke up with Selena, and went out with other models. He dated Sophia Richie, etc., etc. I imagine the insecurity ate Hailey up. The documentary says that from this point on, Hailey's attitude started to become more malicious towards Selena. She started liking tweets that said Hailey and Justin were secretly dating, or that Hailey and Kendall should fight Selena. The documentary only shows these two, but the truth is that there are many, many more. In March 2016, it was reported that she accidentally followed a Selena hate account. In fact, the account's admin even posted that Hailey started following her. Hailey also liked this photo where they said Selena was fake. I think Hailey should have made fake profiles to like these kinds of things and not used her real name, because, as I always say, the internet never forgets. But Hailey didn't just interact with Selena hate accounts. She also engaged with fan accounts. She followed a Selena fan club in November 2016, but immediately unfollowed. And if that wasn't already super toxic and obsessive, what impressed me the most is that Hailey tried to become friends with Selena's best friends. She went out several times with them, like with Raquel Stevens, where she's in this photo. They also met here in another photo, like eating a donut together. But also other lifelong friends of Selena's, like Ashley Cook and Courtney Barry. Those actions do seem super disturbing to me, almost sociopathic. Because one thing is to feel jealous or insecure about your crush's ex in like a post or two, but trying to get into her inner circle? I don't know how you see it, but it definitely seems super sick to me. To be fair, Selena has also liked things that link her to Justin, even after he's been married, or even thanked comments that support her and throw hate at Hailey. But still, as I said, when you take things into real life like Hailey did, I really do think that's worse. So in this point, I give a double score. 10. Hailey copies Selena's clothes. The most shocking part of this story, and I think what has made people latch onto it the most, is that it would seem Hailey's obsession isn't so much with Justin, but with Selena. The documentary presents a bunch of images where supposedly, sometimes even less than 24 hours later, Hailey is seen either by paparazzi or through her own social media, wearing the same outfit or something extremely similar to what Selena had worn shortly before. And my opinion on this clothes comparison is that it's used to reinforce an idea, and not necessarily because there's real proof. It's something that gets used a lot when trying to compare two women, saying they're copying each other, or are envious. And it hasn't just happened with Hailey and Selena. In fact, the Scandal channel Miria here on YouTube recalled something I think the internet has forgotten. Back around 2008, this same comparison was made between Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez. Only there, the roles were reversed. Selena Gomez was the Hailey Bieber because she supposedly stole Miley's boyfriend Nick Jonas and also wanted to dress just like her. There were photos claiming that Miley would wear a certain style or clothing, and shortly after, Selena Gomez would copy it. Not just the way she dressed, but also poses, attitudes, and all that. As you can see, it's the same narrative, just with different characters. Also, several of the photos shown in the documentary are incorrect. Like this one, for example, where they're both wearing something black and doing the same pose. But that pose is super common in the beauty community, when you want to show your makeup or skincare. And in that same Scandal Media channel, they showed that it was actually Hailey who took that photo first on June 5th, 2022, and Selena did it on March 4th, 2023. Then there's this photo with a white shirt, which honestly seems ridiculous to me, because I think if they went into any of our social media accounts, they'd find we all have a photo like that. And just for that, we're supposedly copying Selena Gomez. Plus, that type of blouse has been worn more by Hailey way before Selena took that photo. And then this dress, which really has nothing to do with it. Yeah, they're both pink and kind of high-necked, but they're not alike at all. One is super long and backless, and the other is short. Also, fans have pulled out tons of photos where Hailey apparently wore these outfits before Selena, and those aren't mentioned in the documentary either. But I also don't think they need to be mentioned, because this whole copying clothes thing isn't believable. I give it 0 points. And since we're halfway through this list, I'll pause to talk about something nice. A good strategy to make a great impression on people, and to be remembered, is to smell really good. And today, I want to recommend Woody OG, inspired by Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel, a classic. But even though it's elegant, it still feels very fresh and gives you this vibe like you just showered. I think it's a great option to smell feminine and modern without being overwhelming, but regardless of your taste, Dossier has the ideal option for you, both original perfumes and ones inspired by famous designer fragrances, but much more affordable. Their prices start at $9, and the best part is they're guaranteed. If you don't like the scent, you have 30 days to return it, and they'll give you your money back. No questions asked. They're made in France, cruelty-free, and I'll leave the link here below so you can go try them. This one's honestly one of my favorites. Chip G Tattoo. In June 2015, Selena was first seen with a cursive G tattoo behind her left ear. 2 years later, Hailey showed up with an extremely similar tattoo, also the letter G behind the same ear, just a bit smaller. Selena explained that her tattoo is in honor of her little sister, Grace, and Hailey's was supposedly done in support of one of her pastor's daughters, because the daughter was sick and they wanted to show unity. The girl's name is Georgia. In fact, there was an entire movement in support of that girl, where many people got the letter G tattooed, including her husband, Justin Bieber, who has the G on his arm, and this other girl got it in practically the same spot as Hailey, just behind her right ear. Still, I'm not going to lie. It seems a little suspicious that Hailey chose the same place as Selena to get it. But we also can't deny that behind the ear is a very common place to get tattoos. And speaking of tattoos, there are many others Hailey got first and Selena later, like this one on the foot below the collarbone. Only Hailey's is a heart and Selena's is a cross. Or this. One that Hailey got on her neck that says lover, and Selena got one that says rare. These are very common places for tattoos, and they're not exactly the same, so I'm not giving a point here. 12. Hailey drives to Selena's house. This is one of the most serious accusations made in the documentary, and if it's true, then the one who needs to check into a psychiatric center is Hailey, not Selena, because what it's about is that in February 2018, 7 months before Hailey married Justin, Selena checked into a psychiatric center in Connecticut. And supposedly, Hailey drove to Selena's house with a friend who was also her pastor's friend, to check whether Selena was at her house or at the psychiatric center. This has circulated a lot among fans. And yeah, it sounds super creepy. But it seems it's not true because the documentary takes its information from this article that says the date was October 11th, 2018, meaning Hailey and Justin were already married. And the date Selena checked in was in February. Like I said, I don't think Selena would have stayed there for so many months. And even if she had, fans say the reason Hailey was in that car was because she went to visit her friend. And it had nothing to do with Selena. So this sounds like a rumor. That's very hard to confirm. And I don't know. I'd give it a 0-13. Response to Selena's song. October 23, 2019, Selena and Justin had already been married for more than a year. And Selena released the first single from her album, Rare, which is the song Lose You to Love Me, which we all interpreted as being dedicated to Justin Bieber because it says, "You replaced us in 2 months, like it was easy." And it's because 6 months after breaking up with Selena, Justin married Hailey. So this song really fits this story like a glove. Then, the documentary shows that after Selena released this song, curiously, Hailey posts this on her stories, which is the song I'll Kill You by Summer Walker, as if it were a response. It would seem like it. In fact, there were many reactions and tweets where people interpreted the same, and the truth is that yes, she posts many stories of songs, but it's still suspicious because of the timing. And this point, yes, I will give it. In my opinion, what is not true is Justin's reaction when Selena is singing this song for the first time in 2019. And that's because they include edits suggesting that Justin is super tense and uncomfortable, feeling all the jabs and such. But Justin wasn't even at that American Music Awards performance by Selena. Point. J, tattoo in the documentary. They talk about this tattoo of the letter J that Hailey got on her ring finger, and they relate it to the promise ring that Justin gave to Selena on Valentine's Day in 2012. Like, well, you didn't give me a ring, so I'll tattoo it to always have something I always wanted from you. But this point is very similar to the earlier tattoo points. It could be true, it could not be. Also, Selena got a tattoo of an asterisk or star that Hailey has. She got it in the same place, on the ring finger. So I think they're even pounded and 15. Hailey ruined Selena's celebration. This is another of the accusations made by the documentary, which are very serious, and if true, then yes, Hailey is the one who needs immediate intervention. They say that on January 11, 2020, Selena was going to celebrate the launch of her album Rare at Craig's restaurant there in Los Angeles, which is a very exclusive celebrity spot, a celebration to which, obviously, Hailey was not invited. But somehow she found out and made sure to arrive earlier. And when Selena arrived, the restaurant started changing the songs to play Selena's music in her honor. Hailey supposedly got very upset about the change in music and asked them to play Justin Bieber's song, Yummy. When the restaurant staff refused, Hailey and the people at her table started shouting, "Justin, Justin," to bother Selena and show that she had won and ended up with him. Worse than high school. If true, the evidence presented by the documentary is a few tweets from a person who nobody knows who they are. But there's nothing more. No videos, no verified witnesses. One of the people who was with Hailey at that restaurant is Madison Beer. And curiously, after that day, Selena stopped following Madison, even though they had, maybe not a friendship, but at least they knew each other from before, and this gave a lot of credibility to that rumor that was circulating on Twitter. Selena's fans started sending horrible threats, you can imagine, to Madison. Madison tried to defend herself, saying that nothing happened and that she actually really liked Selena Gomez. Selena saw all the hate and put a stop to it, saying that nothing had happened and followed Madison Beer again. The weird thing here is, if nothing happened, why did Selena unfollow Madison? Nobody knows if it was to feed the hate and get revenge on Madison for being friends with Hailey, or because something really happened and she was upset but didn't want to give the scandal more attention. Who knows what happened? So, there are two versions. One where Hailey is the bad one, or one where Selena is the bad one. So, I'll give it a 0. Because coincidences do exist. That celebrities run into each other at restaurants. I mean, it's a big coincidence, but there's no evidence of anything. 6. Hailey copies Selena's cooking show on August 13, 2020. Due to the pandemic, Selena launched her cooking show called Selena Plus Chef, where she would do video calls with a chef, who would give her instructions on how to cook. She also invited people. It was a way for her fans to see her in a different environment, not just singing or acting. It did very well because they made 4 seasons, and also a spin-off called Selena Plus Restaurant, which began in 2023 and, as far as I understand, is still being filmed. Hailey, for her part, on April 12th, 2023, so like 3 years after Selena, launched the show What's in My Kitchen, which many fans found too suspicious, that Hailey chose to do the same thing Selena Gomez was doing to promote her image. And she's done similar things on the show, which is already about cooking. Hailey also invited her grandma, took the camera in an informal way, just like Selena Gomez does, and also said it was being recorded at her house, like Selena said. But we go back to the same point about copying. It has become very popular among celebrities to do cooking shows, and if you think about it, it's a simple way to promote a celebrity who isn't a singer or actor like Hailey. That way, she can interact with her audience and have fun content. And it's like a continuation of her show, Who's in My Bathroom? Also, before Selena even did her show, Hailey already had videos with Justin cooking. So, this is not a point. But in 18, I've combined these because we're still on the same topic of copying. One is about interviews where, for example, Hailey has answered questions very similarly to what Selena has said, like, I want people to see my heart, or they're narrating my life, or I'm not 19 anymore, which are super generic phrases. Besides, these celebrities get media training, like training on how to answer interviews, and sometimes they're taught to answer things in very similar ways. The other accusation is plagiarism regarding her brand Rhode Beauty. Selena created her brand Rare Beauty in 2020 and Hailey in 2022. But those who have been following this channel for years won't let me lie. The fact that celebrities create beauty and makeup brands is the most common thing, and they even saturated the market. Yes, there are photos and concepts that apparently Rhode has copied from Rare Beauty, but there are also many other concepts that apparently Rare Beauty copied from Rhode. So, in this world, it's like there are no original ideas anymore. What does seem serious to me is that apparently Rhode has copied from small brands without giving them credit. I think that's even more serious than copying Selena. Teen Find. Divorce rumors throughout. The marriage between Justin and Hailey, there have always been these rumors that they don't get along, that he's still in love with Selena Gomez, that he's about to leave her and all that. The documentary mentions it and also talks about the moment when Hailey's father, Stephen Baldwin, asked the Christian community and Christian fans to pray for Hailey and Justin. Many of us interpreted it as something like they're going through a marital crisis and are going to divorce. And the father wants them not to get divorced. But in reality, shortly after, they announced her pregnancy. So, now connecting the dots, it was that he was asking for prayers so that the baby would arrive safely. What we cannot deny is that their marriage is somewhat strange. And sometimes they seem happy, and sometimes they don't. In fact, Selena fans I've seen lately speculate that he is already super convinced that he doesn't want to be with Hailey anymore. But he keeps up appearances on social media because he continues uploading photos with her where they look happy and are together, because she asked him not to humiliate her anymore and to pretend that everything is fine. And then they would announce their divorce. These are just theories that have no basis. So, 0 points. 20. Selena lost Justin's baby, and that's why he married Hailey. The last theory from the documentary is very intense. It comes from a blind item. This thing about blind items is already something very common in the world of celebrities, where some clues are given but not who it's about. They're unconfirmed and anonymous gossip that sometimes turn out to be true, and sometimes they're just theories and things like that. The documentary mentions it as such. It doesn't assure that it's true. It only says that it might have happened because supposedly it makes a lot of sense. But looking at it, it's not even well written. It says that a foreign singer confessed in his church that he tried to take his own life because of it, and that his team got him out of that situation, organizing things, that the month in which the baby would have been born, both of them had an emotional breakdown, and that the wife went to rehab while the singer was seen crying by the paparazzi. Yes, it sounds like this terrible love triangle, but it's not well written because it calls Hailey the current girlfriend and Selena the wife. Because it says the wife went to rehab, but the one who went to rehab was Selena. So, unfortunately, it has very little credibility. In the end, I got 8 points. But if we consider that 4 of them were about plagiarism and we make that 1 point, I get 8 out of 17. That is like subtracting 3 from 20. So that Hailey had super obsessive behaviors toward Justin and Selena is a reality. And that maybe Justin saw her as a refuge and a safe place to deal with his chaos. Well, that could also be. But at the end of the day, he decided to marry her. He has decided for these 7 years to stay with her. He decided to start a family with her. What is also true is that here on the internet, it's much easier to jump to one side or the other, and that's what makes content go viral. Because analyzing a point, or half a point, that's usually not as fun, because we're trying to get to the truth and not go with the sensationalist idea from one side, like that documentary does. Because if that documentary had presented both sides, I think it wouldn't have been as viral and as easy to share. Because unfortunately, that's how social media works. Sometimes it doesn't even matter if what you're saying is true or not, but how you tell it, how much drama you add, and how you use information to support one point or another. But the reality is usually much more complex. That Hailey has problems? Yes, she does. But I also believe Selena does. And, well, let's not even mention Justin Bieber. Many thanks to Dear Perfumes for sponsoring this video. Also, thanks to the members. I invite you to become members if you'd like to support the channel that way. But any way you can or want to support this channel counts, and it counts a lot. Give me a like, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye.